Okay. There we go. Does anyone have any objections to being recorded? Alright, awesome. Okay. So we did our introduction, so now let's go to new business. This is, I want to really kind of get into this because we're, this date is gonna encroach upon us pretty quickly. So, Tanya, can you go back up? All right, great. So right here, where it says the World Day of Remembrance, Tanya, can you click on that? See where it says World Day of Remembrance? There you go. You can open that up.
We need to we should screen share.
Yeah, can you screen share that too? That'd be great.
Screen share. Oh, thanks.
We'll get better at this.
Share. Share desktop.
Okay, so while Tanya's getting that together, so the World Day of Remembrance is an event that we've participated in for several years now in Ulster County. It is as the name suggests, it's a international day of remembrance and mourning for honoring people who have been killed on the roadways. The one that we participate in is, there's two different ones, it's the World Day of Remembrance International, and the one that we do is the USA version, only because we get support doing it through Families for Safe Streets, but it's the same, essentially the same. One's run through the UN, and this one is run through Transportation Alternatives and Families for Safe Streets.
Are you guys seeing the World Day of Remembrance screen?
No, I was just gonna say, we're not seeing anything.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think it's not there now, we're going to share. Thanks. Okay.
There it is.
Or maybe just go to.
I think maybe the Google Chrome one, yeah,
And then share, right?
And can you guys see this now?
Yes, I see it.
Yes.
Okay, so the World Day of Remembrance has a website for the past, we've done this for 5 years now, and this will be our 5th year. And for the past 2 years, we have been recognized throughout the country for our World Day of Remembrance events. So the World Day of Remembrance serves two purposes, one is obviously to honor people who've been lost. And the other is to call attention and to ask for demand, even change in reversing this horrible trend. The reason why it's considered an international issue is that last year we lost a little over 42,000 Americans on our roadways, but internationally 1.5 million are lost on roadways all over the world. So this is certainly a health crisis, and that is why there is kind of like a very we're advocates are really trying to get a very unified response to this to show how many people are touched by it. So if we could go back, you want to go back to the agenda, Tanya, so I can see it. So the World Day of Remembrance this year. So in years past, we've done some really interesting events. We did a bike ride to Christine Tarusco's bike. And then we did a ride down to Sarah Edwards' Go Shoes in downtown Kingston. That was supported by UCAT. And then the year before, we gathered in front of the county building, and that was also supported by UCAT. We rode down the 9W corridor, which is now, we'll talk about that a little bit later, to call attention. Yes, Ezra, the corridor you ride all the time. To call attention to just how absolutely horrific that whole stretch is for people who don't have cars. So this year, so the challenge for this for upstate New York is it's November 17th. And it's always awful. It's just always cold, right, Bill? Like we did it in the traffic circle that year, it was just awful. And it's amazing that anybody even comes. Well, we can't because it's this, So somewhere in a nice sunny country somewhere where it's warm this time of year, pick this day. And now we can't ever take it back, so, and the people who have like real infrastructure, are like, you guys are just wimps, so like, you should be out, but it is what it is. So this year, we, I've decided that, there have been so many horrible tragedies. And these tragedies all have very, touching stories attached to them, and that's part of what, you know, my work with Families for Safe Streets is all about, using, you know, that human connection and the empathetic storytelling to try to get people to change their minds about things. And what we want to do is, myself and my daughter and my niece and some other people and anybody else who might want to volunteer. We're going to start a project where we're gonna collect the stories of people who have been killed, or, well, obviously not their, you know, but their families' stories about them, and people who have been injured. For this first, and I'll explain what I'm talking about, for this first kind of narrative, we're only gonna include the stories of the people who've been very directly affected. And we already have like a few stories, mine and John's will certainly be one of them. But the hope is that we can take this narrative piece after November 17th and maybe turn it into almost a full-length documentary, where we can include a lot more stuff, where we can include, you know, our everyday stories and our struggles and the advocacy. You know, the successes and the heartbreaks, and there's been, you know, many on both sides. So, and so that's it. I mean, that's kind of ambitious, but I think one of the things, just like what inspired me to try to take this approach, is it feels like you know, you're just constantly having to explain, and not that I resent it, but I would really, as an educator, I think I have this natural desire to be like, no, I really wanna show you what I'm talking about, like, I really want you to understand this, like. And there's you know, whether it's because of what I believe, which is like just car-centric propaganda out and out. Or, you know, some other like calmer measures of that, you know, like people just don't have choices and stuff like that, but whatever it is, you know, like, our voices, more often than not, don't get heard, and they should be heard. And if it does nothing else, then, you know, we'll have some great stories to tell, so. So that's my plan for the World Day of Remembrance this year. Does anyone have any thoughts or like objections, or? Anyone? My plan with the movie, with this first like 20 minutes or so of the movie, which would only be narratives, would be to go to SUNY New Paltz, to go to, I've already got an offer from O Positive to use their screening room to show it. To maybe show it in a couple of locations, like small community, located. Bard might be, you know, like at small, you know, community viewings of it, just all on November 17th. You know, and maybe do it that way so that people can be in a warm place and have this very powerful experience, and not also be, you know, freezing through this. And we can always do our own Day of Remembrance, by the way. Other communities do, like, so I'm not saying give this part up, because this is really important. It really gets our activism on the map and really a national level, you know, and it may be part of the reason why I was invited to Congress, for things like this. But it's, you know, I think that we could also set a day, like any day that we want, that's a nicer day. And, you know, maybe have our own Day of Remembrance for local people in Boston. So that's something to think about in the future. So here's what I want to really talk to you guys about in terms of setting up the World Day of Remembrance. Every World Day of Remembrance has demands attached to it. That's part of what it is, so it's, you know, you. Call attention, but then you say, all right, we're calling attention, but we need you to fix something. Okay, and Tanya, can you pull up the press release for our last World Day of Remembrance? You see the press release? Yeah, that right there. Can you open that? Can you screen share that?
This, can you guys see this? So let's see what.
Oh, there it is. You can see this. Yeah, and this is all embedded, by the way, like you can, like, so if you got the agenda, all of this stuff is in there. So if you wanted to, so these were our demands last year. So fixing deadly intersections and trail crossings and crosswalks and roadways now, not, you know, in 20 years. Move a dedicated portion of state and federal funding traditionally used for roadway maintenance into a fund to create, maintain walking and bikeable transit and friendly streets. Demand 25 miles an hour. And also devote more funding to upgrading and expanding our public transportation system, creating safer environments for public transportation users. Now, first, let's talk about the good news. One of those we've actually really come close to realizing, which is the 25-mile implementation, at least in Kingston. Certainly not a countywide thing, but and that was definitely a battle. Michelle Hirsch was one of our champions of that, so we definitely thank her very much for her help with that. But the rest of these, like, you know, we haven't, like, what I think I would like to see, and what I think other communities are doing with their demands is they're really making their demands a little more pointed.
I think,
Yeah,
I think the first one you said, something along the lines of. Can you read it again?
fixing deadly intersections, trail crossings, crosswalks, and roadways now.
Okay, so that needed to be more specific, because that's another individual, whoever was supposed to do this, saying, well, we think that's okay. I think that's okay, that's not a big deal, but if you say specifically like Route 9 on this day,
Yeah.
then that would have been something that they could take a look at, but literally it was a room of consent. I don't really see anything wrong with this. Of course, it's not necessarily wanting to do anything bad, that would get at it.
Yeah,
Just be more specific, just in general would be the best thing, because then you can hold them accountable.
yeah. So in terms of being specific in that direction, what I was thinking, so Ulster County, recently had all of their TAP applications rejected by DOT. TAP applications are ways for people to access funds to fix, their situations very specific to their communities, right? So all of them in Ulster County, despite the fact that we've got this like really. I mean, and nobody even argues this, like, you know, I definitely have gotten into some disagreements with people with representatives in Ulster County, but the one thing that they cannot deny is that our fatality rate is unexplainably, according to them, unexplainably high. Unexplainably, that is always the one that gets me. So it. So, but this is, and then they'll also go on to say, which is not untrue, that this is a phenomenon all over the place, though, roads, you know, but. Truth be known, it is not a phenomenon in countries where they've really taken this seriously. And also in other states where they have implemented new federal guidelines, they have seen, you know, their fatality rates start to come down. New York State, as you know, definitely evidenced by a report by Controller Natalie.
Dylan's in the waiting room.
Okay. Our fatality rates are going up in New York State. Right, and. You know, at this time of unprecedented opportunity to do something, it definitely feels like. At least some, not every person, not every official in New York City or New York State rather, but. Way too many of them are kind of really dragging their feet and missing an important opportunity. So, all right, so that was like got kind of off, and this is why I'm not gonna be able to get through all this in an hour, but but so my thought is that we really target this to those, like, so one of them was the Washington Avenue crossing where John was killed. One of them was out in Woodstock. One of them was in Saugerties. I don't, Steve, you guys didn't have a TAP application that got rejected, right?
I think that was something that, I don't think maybe Dan Meter made the TAP application. We plan to try again.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a TAP application, I'm not certain, but. But in a lot of, in any case, like, so what most of municipalities are doing are, you know, in order to access funds to fix their roads is they're applying for these grants. So that they can get the money to do that, but DOT ultimately has to, they're the people who will, you know, deny or accept the grant application. So in Ulster County, DOT denied all of the grant applications that, the TAP applications that were denied, that were put forward. So, and most of them actually were, related to places where people had been killed. Like, so that's supposed to be a really big factor in these applications, and, apparently it wasn't, considered quite as much. So I thought that could be one of our demands, right? Like, and we can hone in on it a little bit, like on Gmail and stuff, but we could, all of our denied applications, all of our rejected applications have to be reconsidered, period.
Right.
Yeah.
Why, I mean.
And, yeah, and all right, what's the alternative plan? I mean, the problem is when you're dealing with DOT, you know, they have these formulas for everything, so. Well, did someone jump in? Did someone want to say something? You wanted to say?
Yes, so my name's Matthew. I'm from Senator Hinchy's office.
Oh, hi, Matt.
Hi, good to see you everyone again. Sorry, my camera is off. I'm just getting home, but I wanted to let you all know, please, 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 if you've had tap or raise applications that have been denied, to please contact our office, because we have direct contacts at DOT and we can start advocating for causes. We have a district director, her name is Elizabeth, and she's extremely good with grant writing. So we would love to have all of the information, all of those applications that have been denied, so that we can raise this to the DOT.
Thank you so much, Matthew. Thank you. That's great.
Is the local office, obviously, I'm assuming?
Region 8.
No, Senator.
Oh, Senator Hinchy.
Yeah, I'm saying, in case someone not from the Albany.
Well, he works in Albany also.
No, I know, but Elizabeth.
Elizabeth works in Kingston. She's the district director for Senator Hinchy, and I also work in Kingston, but we're all connected to the Albany offices.
Okay. Great. Okay. Go ahead. Steve, you were gonna say something?
No, I wasn't. no.
All right, so, okay, well, that's great information, but, and I think that that's something that we should do. We should like find out all of those tap and raise grants that were denied, and we should say, no, we want these seriously reconsidered. And then, for our other demands, like, I think we can, for now, we can drop the 25 mile an hour, right? Because and we can talk a little bit about implementation later if we have time, but for now, I think, and also it does kind of feel as though, from what I'm hearing, DOT might be backing off a little bit on that one. At least they're not going to challenge the cities and the villages that are going forward to change. So the way we kind of know this is they're actually, when I say we, it's the New York State Safe Streets Coalition and an engineer named Matt Rowe from NOCDO, oh, and here's Ann Ames, and a policy person named Juan Martinez, and then several other people from the Bike Coalition, New York State Bike Coalition, we have been fighting, well, no, I shouldn't say fighting, we've been trying to we've been trying to devise a plan to give to cities and to villages so that they can move forward, even though like DOT put a lot of roadblocks in the way people to reduce their speed to 25 miles an hour. Cities and villages absolutely should be able to, without any question, reduce their speed to 25 miles an hour. If we don't get to it at the bottom of the, or it was anyway, at the bottom of the agenda, I did include the implementation information. Now, there are strategies to also reduce, state roads, which are the hard, and also town roads. But they're more complicated and they're the ones that we're really gonna have to fight with DOT about. And I don't like. I mean, we could leave the 25 miles an hour demand there, we could say that we demand it for. You know, the places outside of our cities and villages, but I don't know, what do you think, Phil? Should we still leave that there or should we look for something?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
yeah, if Jeff Collins can point out that why aren't you including towns, you're saying hamlets and all these other areas, then yeah, of course.
okay,
Why are the town roads the most difficult? I'm just really curious.
because most of them first are under DOT jurisdiction.
Okay.
And DOT, so, I don't wanna get, cause I can go down a little rabbit hole with it, but just to make a really long story short. When it's under DOT jurisdiction, you can in theory change it, but DOT has to do what's called a study. A very expensive study, it takes a long time to get it approved, New Paltz is in the process of getting one. And then the speed studies that they use are just, they're known to be really not in favor of. Lower speeds.
But does it really take that long, or is it their process of taking that?
Well, they don't need to be done, actually, that's another story, that's a totally other, like, so there's most engineers now will say they don't even, like, at least. In what's considered an urban road, and an urban road is not just a road in a city, it's a road where people are existing and using it and, you know. That's an urban road, on an urban road, you know, you should be able to just reduce the speed. Bill, I'm sorry.
And now, I know acknowledging the rabbit hole, but.
Yeah.
And I know there's town law and city law and different laws in the state. But I'm aware of towns that have a town-wide speed limit. Are you saying that they only could get that because they studied every road in the town, or what are you saying?
They don't really, I don't think they have so they have. Like a default speed limit, which is 30 miles an hour. In New York State. There's two default speed limits. There is the 55 mile an hour default speed limit, which is excluding the throughway, which is the highest default. And then there's the 30 mile an hour, which is the lowest default. So,
But I've seen towns that have 30 and I've seen towns that have 35. Esopus has a town speed limit of 35, at least according to the signs.
it's
The
interesting,
town
I don't know,
in the 80s, Bethlehem and Albany counties, 30 miles an hour.
as far as, yeah,
And
that's-
then I live, and then a town in Scotland, next to Bethlehem, that's the kind of town it's getting. So there, it's what you said, like, roads are gonna be 55 unless otherwise posted.
yeah,
But just to say, I've seen towns with speed limits that vary, just like cities have different speed limits in villages. So I'm wondering if there might be precedent for allowing for towns to be able to reduce. Even though this has been wasn't authorized yet.
I don't. According to the MUCCD and according to the way DOT has things structured, no, a town cannot have what's called an area speed limit necessarily. There might be parts of the town where as far as I know, because an area speed limit is a village speed limit, is a city speed limit. A town speed limit is not, at least not a rural town speed limit, it's not quite that usually.
Cause a lot of the towns around here have like, you know, Route 32 or, you know, different.
Well, they have,
Roads that are kind of more like arterial or whatever.
where
cars go 55 miles an hour.
Yeah,
So they'd have to say like, okay, so this street should have, and this street shouldn't, right?
yeah, exactly, and those are, so those are road segment speed limits. So that's what we're talking, so that's, you have to go to DOT if you wanna, so that's the issue that New Paltz faces. So what they're saying is they want a segment of Route 299, which is their main street, which is a DOT street, unfortunately. So they're saying, well, we want our main street to be 25 miles an hour, you know, but DOT is saying, well, we don't, that's not the default speed limit, so we're not gonna do that. And there's nothing that New Paltz can do to really affect that, unfortunately. They would be opening, honestly, I mean, it's ridiculous, but they would be opening themselves up to a lawsuit to anyone who got that ticket, because they'd be like, well, it wasn't like. We did actually do a little study of that one, because that's one that municipalities love to use, by the way, the lawsuit one. We have never found a case of a lawsuit that was brought up against someone because of speed. What you do get is the potential for tickets getting thrown out of court, which is not quite a lawsuit.
It's not that too bad.
So, but in any case, that's the main one that municipalities will say. Alright, so we're gonna leave 25 there. So what was the other demand that I had? Wanna go back to that, Tanya?
The 2024.
The press release?
Yeah, the press release had the demands in it.
Is that last, this one?
Yes.
Where you want. So this is
Okay.
It's 2023.
35.
Oh, wait, no, alright, never mind. So I think I remember what the last one was, So we wanted to advocate for better and safer public transportation and for bus stops. I think for this one. It would be good to advocate for something that we're pretty sure we can get. And what we can probably get are some shelters from Sarhan's office. So
What about the ones that were already budgeted for?
that's what I mean.
Oh,
So like just, I mean, it's almost kind of a sneaky way of being like, well, we're gonna demand this, but it is a way of saying, all right, you know. And then we can expand on that, you know, the problem with like these like demand lists is like if you get like I said, you get too broad with them, you know, it gets, things get lost in the thoughts. And what you're, you know, often trying to do is like just demonstrate like, all right, we did this, you know, and also, you know, call attention. The targets this year, I think, and then the last one, which I really do want to completely stick with, is demanding that the county adopt the safe system approach once and for all, and stop trying to do things like getting high school interns to adopt that strategy. Like enough is enough, like we've got to buy into this, this is what the federal government wants. And I do believe that once that kind of endorsement of a safe system approach, which is what the federal government wants, I mean, this is not like pie in the sky, you know. And with that endorsement comes the move towards the policy things that we want to see. And connected to that, a very tangible thing, I want to see some kind of citizen run board. I'm not sure what that looks like, we would have to think about that a little bit. We've tried to bring this up many times in the traffic safety board. It always kind of gets shut down, we get told we're already being represented. But we, meaning like victim advocates, believe that there is a lot of value in hearing what we have to say about a crash, about you know, like, so I think of Hoboken, for example, where every single crash is examined by this citizen board, and the people who, family members, people, witnesses on the street, all are interviewed by this board. And then they come up with a determination together, not a punitive determination, not like, oh, the driver, we're gonna make sure that driver gets tickets or whatever. It's what can we do, like if you bought into the safe system approach, you're already bought into the idea, well. This crash probably happened for multiple reasons. We can no longer accept that, oh, the driver was going too fast, or the person was walking out in the middle of the street. Like, those are no longer acceptable things. So, a board like this can help to inform the engineers, can help to inform the planners. And when you go to the Vision Zero conferences, and when you go to the conferences where these things are being discussed and you hear the change in the engineers who actually have to speak to the family members. Seriously, it is so powerful, and none of them regret it, by the way. I mean, the way we have our system set up, it's basically like, everything is so, set up in this legal system where, nobody talks anymore. Boom, no more talking. And that is so damaging for everybody, it just really is. And you don't learn, you just don't learn, And the idea, like I said, the idea of that is not to punish, the idea of that is to determine how to keep this ever happening again. So I wanna see some kind of citizen-led board that has some authority in this county. Yeah, Laura.
Is there an existing resolution that I could, because I still talk to a good portion of legislators, at least the active ones, to see if they could carry something.
Yeah,
With the explanation that the traffic safety is essentially they're just looking at probably more safe driving than anything else. And, your idea brings me back to, I was driving, it was nighttime, I had somebody tailgating me and I was on a bad turn, so I had to make a quick left. I did, and there's 6 people and 2 dogs standing in front of me, which was terrifying for me, and of course they're angry. And I keep thinking back, I'm like, there's no street light, there's no sidewalk, so, here's the resolution. Thank God I had enough, because that terrified me. I could have taken out 6 people because I was more worried about traffic. So, is there something existing, and then can we?
I don't feel like, I don't know, honestly.
Or do we need to ask for them to revise? The transit advisory committee can sit, well, it's still transit though.
I think that they should, go ahead, Tanya.
Well, the transit advisory committee, that's basically the next. That was kind of turned into the next, that was rooted into the
Intermodal.
includes. And riders committee, yeah, what's it called?
So,
The TRIAC, what's it called?
transit riders and intermodal advisory.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it is a little problematic that we have to cram like all these issues into one meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah, and also, all of the, there's 7 seats for transit riders, but there's nothing in it for like people who. Don't ride transit, but still want an idea.
Can I suggest that the county has this complete streets so-called policy, it's a bike and pedestrian policy from 2009.
Yes.
It needs to be updated. Unfortunately, the Traffic Safety Board asked the county executive's office to update it. They should have asked the legislature as the policy making body, but anyway. That could be done, and it could include the establishment of the technical board you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that. Do we think that adding that is too complicated to the demands, maybe, or I don't think so, but.
No, it's
No.
very simple.
Okay.
And the fact is, the county administration did not do as the traffic safety board asked them to do. They have not updated that policy. And we know from our experience in the legislature that the administration does not actually currently follow the policy.
Basically, it's just acknowledgement, which they did, I know this is a stretch, but in the solid waste management plan. We acknowledge zero waste, and that's all that was said, and it's the same thing with the complete streets. We acknowledge and accept complete streets, but then there's the but, now what?
Yeah.
And it is like pulling teeth unless, we can somehow incorporated into a way where there's, you know, photo opportunities and that seems to be the way they go, it's really frustrating.
Yeah.
How are we doing with the jet, what time does this meeting end?
Well, yeah, I don't,
Same.
what, you know, what time is
It's
it?
already 6:14.
Yeah, we gotta, yeah, so we should probably move on from this, but we do have to get these demands set by the next meeting, definitely, cause they've gotta be part of our press release, so. Let's, and if anyone thinks of anything else that they think should be part of these demands, but I think making them a little bit more tangible is a really good idea. Okay. So can I move on anymore? Yeah, okay, so that's the World Day of Remembrance, oh, and the targets for the word just really quickly will be, I think DOT 100%. And you know, if need be, maybe it is time to start incorporating. You know, our, you know, Senator Gillibrand or anybody else, if we feel that like, you know, the federal money is not going where it's supposed to go. Cause that was literally what I was told when I went and met with representatives in Congress. So, okay, so the next thing to talk about is, I'm gonna skip through the speed of silence and all that stuff, we've already kind of touched on that. I do wanna touch on the fundraiser for the lights giveaway, because this was a really popular idea that came up.
Our letter?
Which one is that? Looks like July. You kind of, when you,
Here,
yeah, fundraiser.
that's double I, okay.
Yeah, double I. Yeah, we'll talk about it, I'll just get information out about that other fundraiser. But the fundraiser for the lights giveaway, I want to attach to the Save Pass, so the idea is that anybody. Like, so I can get lights, some really decent quality lights, probably for people, and we're talking about blinking rear lights and front lights. And we would be giving those to people directly, who don't have them, who are riding their bikes in the city of Kingston. And we can either have some kind of like event where we can distribute them, but I'm also not averse to just handing them to fellow cyclists and being like, if you see someone without lights, give this to them.
And maybe help them install it.
And yeah, and you know, like,
Maybe give them our card.
and give them, yeah, you can say, well, you can say thank you if you want, you know, you can come to a meeting or you can. But most importantly, we wanna make sure people do have lights. It is the one piece of bike safety equipment that I will very staunchly say every cyclist who rides at night absolutely is. Okay, sorry.
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna say, I think that's a really good idea because, so often I'm like, I wish I had extra lights in me because I see people at night all the time who don't have any lights. The other day, actually, someone turned and it was on Ulster Avenue, actually, where there's not really that much like light from, it's the, you know, the overpass when it connects by Chambers.
Yeah.
There's like no lights there at all. And someone was coming up the sidewalk without any lights at all. And I almost ran into them on a bike, even with my own lights, because it was so dark with, you know, no street lights.
Yeah.
That someone not having those is like really dangerous. So, you know, I wish I had something where I could just be like, hey, please take this, I will help you install it.
Yeah, awesome.
It's more dangerous for everyone.
And the ones that I found, that I can get at a pretty good price, have like universal rubber adapters. So those are the best, cause I mean, you know, everyone, you don't have to putz around with putting a clamp on or anything like that, you just snap them on. And rechargeable, cause the world does not need more batteries. And I can probably get those for about $15 a set, nice ones,
Yeah.
like decent ones, not like, you know, but really decent ones.
Anything.
Yeah.
It's better than nothing.
Exactly, so, all right, so I'm gonna use that, and that's gonna be one of our fundraising pitches, I figured that kind of a good tie into like the Christmas stuff too, right, and it's getting dark. You know, and then, so the grant I wanna touch on really quickly, cause this is kind of important. So, Catskill Mountain Keeper, can you believe that's what they're called? They offered, their, I think it's Ari, contacted me. And said that they have a $5,000 grant that they're willing to like help small, advocacy groups apply for. You do not need to be a 501(c), which we are not yet, we're not affiliated with one yet. The only stipulation, which I kind of was like, all right, well, most of my projects aren't gonna work, is like they want joy. They want expressions of joy, and I'm like, well, I don't deal with unfortunately a lot of joy right now. But I thought a tactical urbanism project, like one in New Paltz, for example. Might really, I did run it by someone in Kingston and they really love the idea, but they just don't have it in them right now to apply for a grant. So if anyone wants information on that grant, and everyone knows what tactical urbanism is? So if there are small projects that you can do to demonstrate. Like a perfect example are fake bike lanes, people, or just putting planters around the corner to kind of make the corner, or even with the sanctioning of the town, I always tell people, don't do the crosswalk thing unless the town says it's okay, trust me. Cause they'll freak out. Oh, who else is there? Someone else is there?
Hi, it's Paul Burns.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And then we've also got Dylan who joined since we also.
Oh, hi Dylan, Dylan is there, good, okay. I just wanna get through, we only have 10 minutes left, so alright, so.
Can you just let the new people know what's happening?
Yeah.
Some of them might be here for
Yeah, go ahead.
the next meeting.
Oh, okay, oh, this is still the Safe Pass meeting, are you here for the Ruda or the Safe Pass? Either way, you're welcome to hang out. Okay,
Yeah.
alright.
Here for the routine.
Okay. Alright, so, yeah, so anyone who thinks that they might be interested in it's due, I think, the middle of October, so it's pretty soon. I looked at the grant, it doesn't look that extensive and they're willing to help if someone comes up with a good idea. So I'm putting that out there,
And so you're thinking for the grant, tactical urbanism, an installation, right?
yeah.
So this is a screen that gives an idea of what it is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
We sort of did that, I don't know if anybody was like, drove by, a few of us were there at the Five Corners.
Right.
Yeah, that's a perfect example, yeah.
So we built it out as
That was
though
nice.
took over at pedestrian realm, that corner.
Yeah, that was, and we got a lot of it, and we did, so that was one of those, we had a compromise, but they didn't do some of the worst stuff that they said they were gonna.
Right, we got more sidewalks than they were gonna put.
And no backup parking at least,
Yes.
so.
So, hey guys, it's Dylan here. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Hey,
how you doing?
Hey everyone. So I was wondering, has anyone, I'm sure if you have, like been down Main Street in Rosendale? Because what they have with like the turtle signs, I think is a very interesting example of urban tacticalism.
Yeah, I love those signs.
And it's literally just like every 5 feet. It's a turtle, slow, 25 miles an hour.
Wow.
yeah, those are cute, we also have, so New Paltz also has a new round of signs, if anyone's noticed, so there's the expected bike signs, which were in honor of Gabby, but now there is what is expected walker, is that what it says?
Pedestrian, I think.
Yeah, and they have bunny ears, so it's very cute. Yeah, and I just actually, because the expected bike signs were actually used in the New York State Strategic Highway Safety Plan as an example of community-led education, a successful community-led education program. So I just got Cronin Art, who did that, actually just got a contract to do something in Pennsylvania, so that's kind of exciting, and they did it based on that, so they got the backup for that from that project, so it's really cool. All right, so I'm not gonna have time to do the legislative priorities, everyone can take a look at them, I'm really sorry. I do wanna ask Steve if he wouldn't mind sharing, so Steve, would you mind talking a little bit about your impressions of your meeting with DOT with New Paltz, just for
Yeah, okay.
yeah,
Oh.
the rest of, I'm sorry, just the rest of this stuff, there's lots of links on there, guys, I just don't have enough time, so.
Does everybody have this agenda sent to them?
Yes, I sent this agenda to everyone,
Okay,
yeah.
so let us know if you don't happen to have it in the chat, we'll get it to you.
Great, All right, okay, Steve. Go
Oh,
ahead.
okay. So I met with the mayor, Tim Rogers in New Paltz a few months ago, and said I let him know how I'm very interested in crosswalk safety, thinking of my daughter who can't drive anymore, so she's always walking around in New Paltz. And so I'm very, very concerned about trying to make the crosswalks safer. Right now, they're just paint on the pavement. When they don't get paved over, like the one in front of the library has for the last few weeks, the painted crosswalk, about a third of it was paved over. Anyway, so so the mayor sent a letter to DOT asking for some things that we had agreed on, mostly related to crosswalks, RFBs, the rectangular flashing beacons. And I would love to see a curb extension at Oakwood Terrace and Main Street. Speed reduction, and we were able to get a meeting. It was a meeting with lots of DOT officials, the assistant regional director named Natarajan, Nikhil Natarajan, and a lot of the other DOT engineers in the area. And somebody from NACDO was part of it. Henry Steele, somebody who was a former transportation alternatives director who now lives around New Paltz. He was in on the meeting. Anyway, so they gave us a letter about what we can do for follow-up. And in our meeting the other night, our New Paltz Bike Ped meeting, people were feeling very positive about like there's sort of a change. I don't know about that, but in DOT with DOT, but they did say that for some things that we asked for, we need to provide a resolution, a joint village town resolution, and send that into DOT. So that was actually done last night in New Paltz at a joint meeting. The village and the town had lots of other things to work on, but they did cover that, and that was agreed on. So I'm very happy about that. I don't know how much detail you want to know
No,
about.
I mean, I think that's great. I mean, it is encouraging that, I guess, that they met with people. I do. I was a little bit encouraged by the New Paltz news, and then I got really discouraged by the Complete Streets news, because that kind of really hit me like, all right, really, how much are they changing if they're not gonna like relinquish any authority over their budget? But they may, I don't know, like, time will tell. I will say this much, they did, like I said earlier, they do seem to be backing down a little bit, at least on the 25-mile-an-hour thing, but man, DOT does not want to give up any authority over anything, so it's gonna be a tough fight, I think. But you never know, like, I hope that they're finally getting them up.
Yeah, the problem that we have in New Paltz is that the main roads are state roads. Main Street is really State Route 299. The road that goes up to Kingston is State Route 32, and then the road south to Gardner is State Route 208. So the mayor said that he doesn't see any purpose in lowering the speed limit on the village streets to 20 to 25. That wouldn't accomplish that much, because the main streets in New Paltz are state roads. So yeah.
Was it yesterday you said, or was it a joint meeting you said?
Last night there was a joint meeting of the village and the town, yeah.
Village in the town, is that on the, and so they made a resolution, is
Yeah,
that?
I think there was, I don't know if you shared it with everybody, but, Bill Murray, I think his name.
Yeah, yep, yep.
Yeah, he sent me the resolution, so I'll send it to
Oh, wow.
you, Tanya. It's, yeah, they got it done super fast. It is impressive.
Are they gonna vote on it at like a weekly meeting, or they just wrote it together, it's something sort of separate out of, it's a resolution to, is it voted on, or can we see it, is it on, posted on the New Paltz? Town of New Paltz
I
site?
don't know if it's there, we don't really have, I mean, I don't think we have time really to look at it right now anyway, but I think, I can send it to you and I'll send it to everybody.
Alright.
If you want, he may have sent it to everybody,
Okay.
actually. Alright, the last quick thing I wanted, I'm sorry, Steve, I think.
That's
that-
okay, Rose, I understand.
Wait, there was someone had their hand up.
Be really brief,
Yeah, go ahead.
we're talking about DOT, a state agency, and we have a representative from the state senator's office here. So, that's all I wanted to know.
Well, I think Matthew already pointed out that I think that's. Senator Hinchey's office is willing to help us go to bat with the reevaluation of the TAP grants, so that's kind of a big deal. I do, Steve and I have a meeting with, Senator. Assemblyperson Sarahana's office. And one of the things I'm definitely gonna bring up is, can we trust DOT when they kick back so hard and said, we're not gonna relinquish anything. And also, there's other things going on, guys, like there is the Route 17 expansion, and then there's the 20% car usage. Which we would love to see like as a big picture thing, so I think sometimes it's important to say, well, be careful, they're not like throwing us tidbits. But I don't know, like that's cynical, and I don't wanna be cynical either, I wanna wait and see what happens. We have not given up on the idea of rallying against DOT, by the way. I do think in light of some of this stuff and the weather, I think we're gonna hold off probably. But the other idea I have about that, and we'll talk about that in the next meeting that we have a little bit more, is more of a counter education idea that I have, rather than protesting. But, so we'll talk about that. And then last but not least, Tanya, can you open up the YouTube channel? Because I think this is exciting and I want people
Oh,
to see.
yeah, really cool.
Yeah. So we have a YouTube channel and we can put all sorts of tips, and we have gotten close to 1,000 views. And Michael shared something yesterday, and it's so, Tanya, just open up with the speed reader, it's just so classic, just watch it. And there you go, plus speed reader. And that's it, I mean,
I love when we've got one on Foxhall Avenue, a speed reader that is on Foxhall Avenue, and it says your speed and it has the speed limit, which is totally inappropriate for that road. So that's the thing, it's like, sometimes it's like, you could be
There
going.
you go.
Oh, just.
Yeah.
And I was. Like almost 40 miles an hour.
I do last on Foxhall on the left. Yeah. Awful. So the idea of this is that, so some of our meetings, this meeting is gonna be posted, some of our older meetings have been posted. We have also good news, guys, like, I have a post from Naomi in Newburgh, who's got the first bike gardens, which is a really fun little video to watch.
Naomi, I'm from Department of Small Interventions here. Naomi, I'm from Department of Small Interventions here in Newburgh, New York. Behind me, you can see a bike garden, this Hudson Valley's first bike garden, which is a makeshift street plan where kids can learn how to bicycle. Horizons on the Hudson had received 30 bikes, and with this bike garden, we wanted to teach them about bike safety rules and normalize bicycling in our city culture.
And how'd you get it paid for?
So we got a grant from the CHISC program and worked with Orange County Planning to make this a reality. And big props also to Department of Health who endorsed this project. Naomi,
So those are the kinds of things, I mean, I think, we all know what reels are, we all are a little addicted to those little video snippets. But that's kind of what I mean, we're gonna have our big, meetings and we'll have like other events and stuff definitely recorded, but. Your issues, send them to me, try to send them to me without obvious license plates. No violence, please, if someone has actually been hit or hurt, we don't wanna actually put that, I will vet everything before we put it on there. And not like personal vendettas. However, but I was thinking, I just kind of leaks into it a little bit, Gemma, just a little video of your day of what you have to go through. Like, if you can compress that into about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, that would probably be a really eye-opening video. So think of things like that, and people, I think, really would like to see. And seeing is believing, hopefully. So, all right, our next meeting is gonna be LLN, it's no.
Okay.
No, not the regular meeting.
I wanted to kind of talk about that and confirm with everybody that this would work. But this is the fourth Thursday of the month, so the next. October has 5 Thursdays actually, so we could probably just keep it the first Thursday, which would be the 21st.
Okay, so our next meeting is going to be October 24th, and at that meeting, we will have the Day of Remembrance demands to finalize, so we're definitely, that's gonna be a big focus, but. What I didn't get to talk about also, which is really important, is, we wanna focus on everybody's individual issues too, so our next meeting we'll break that down, everyone's got their own stories to tell and their own corners to fix, and we wanna make sure that we are supporting each other while you're fixing those corners, so. Any other thoughts? All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining, we're gonna take a little break,
We're gonna
right?
take like a 9-minute break.
Okay.
So maybe we'll say
Am I going to
7
sleep?
minutes.
Okay.